NFL training camp's in full swing. One of the more interesting storylines is in New England. We talked about this yesterday. Jimmy Garoppolo, his future with the Patriots, a guy that wrote about Garoppolo, talked to him extensively this week, was Albert Breer, senior writer of the MMQB.com, Sports Illustrated. Albert joins me here on the show. Albert, what was your biggest takeaway from your conversation with Jimmy Garoppolo?
Really hard not to say the wrong thing. It's a tough position to be in. I mean, if you're him, you're watching guys you were drafted with. Derek Carr gets, $125 million contract. Teddy Bridgewater has had his shot, and now the team's going to be patient with him through rehab. Johnny Manziel got a shot. Even Zach Mettenberger, got an extensive look as a starting quarterback, and here he is 4 years in, and he hasn't gotten his shot. And so, of course, as a competitor, he wants to be in a position where he can actually play football. He feels like he's earned the right to be a starting quarterback somewhere. But at the same time, to come out and express that frustration, I think is, that's a tightrope he's walking. So, I think there probably is some level of frustration if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, because if one of these teams had traded for you, they probably would have given you a contract and you probably would have had money that would have set you up for life. Instead, now you're, waiting for another year, and who knows what happens between now and February.
It's probably a win-win for Garoppolo in many ways, Albert, right? I mean, if he's traded, he does get paid. If he's not, he has an opportunity to win a championship ring and get paid next summer. Do you think he's disappointed that he wasn't traded this offseason?
I think he's disappointed that he's not playing. I think you got to be careful about that, because I think he's happy in New England, and I think he'd be thrilled to be the next guy in New England. But there's so much uncertainty around that. And, he's heard, like everybody else has heard, how Tom Brady wants to play deep into his 40s. And, so that door just may never come open in New England. So, I think that there's frustration. I think it's frustrating for him that he's 4 years in and he doesn't have a chance to be a starting quarterback. Whether or not that opportunity is going to come in New England ever is uncertain now. And so I don't think it's that he wanted out of New England. I think it's that he wants to be playing. And I think that part of it for him is hard. And then you add the financial ramifications of not being a starting quarterback this year, and where your earning power is and where his earning power was last offseason had he been traded. And that, I think, adds another layer to it.
Talking to Albert Breer, the MMQB.com. You can check out Albert's podcast up on iTunes right now, the MMQB podcast with Albert Breer. Is there any possibility, Albert, that both Jimmy Garoppolo and Tom Brady could be on the roster next season?
I'm going to say no. I just don't see how that works. If you're Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think you sign any sort of extension without knowing I'm going to be playing. And so, I think that means that, Jimmy Garoppolo is, if he's in New England in 2018, it's on the franchise tag. The franchise tag is going to cost about $22 million. And Tom Brady's set to make $15 million next year. So then you probably have to give Brady a raise. And then you'd be talking about potentially tying up, $45, $46 million of your salary cap into two players. I just don't know how that works. I think it would be awkward next year. And I think decision time's coming. And that's why this is such a massive story. I mean, this is why I thought this was the most underrated story of the NFL offseason, and probably the biggest story of the NFL offseason, because by keeping Garoppolo in 2017, they're leaving the door open for, a separation from Tom Brady, which, obviously an icon like that leaving, the team that drafted and the team that he won championships with is a pretty big deal.
Hey, great to visit with you, Albert. I know you're busy, man. I appreciate the time.
You got it, Chris.
That's Albert Breer, senior writer at the MMQB.com, Sports Illustrated.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.